Hi there folks, and welcome back to the channel. Now in the last couple of months, the Steam workshop for Project Zomboid has been absolutely buzzing as a result of the fairly new Build 42 update that has brought many new features to the game. In this video, I'll be showcasing some of the best new mods for Build 42 and some fan favorites from Build 41 that have recently been updated for the newest version of the game. As always, there will be a link down in the description for all of the mods covered in this video, and if there's one I've missed, let me know down in the comments. Here's some of the best mods you need to know about for Build 42 in March 2025. Now I'm going to kick off today's video with an all-time favorite from Build 41, a mod that almost 1.2 million people had subscribed to. This is Zupercarts, a mod that seems rather simple, bringing in a selection of carts and trolleys that you'd probably expect to find in just about any old supermarket. Now, why are these useful? Well, put simply, they can carry a lot. That means no running back and forth between your vehicle and the grocery store you're looting to stock up your freezer. You won't have to spend hours carrying those logs you need for your safe house construction project, and if you'd like, you can take them just about anywhere you go. Now, fair warning here, there's still a couple of issues with this one after some of the recent patches and hotfixes for Build 42, but nothing that will stop you enjoying the mod itself and how convenient it makes ferrying supplies from place to place. Right, we're taking a look at a brand new mod for Build 42 as our next one for today. One of the biggest reworks that we saw in the major update was to the lighting system, and while for the most part it's improved the environment around our characters drastically, one thing that has become troublesome is driving during the nighttime hours. Enter the mod High Beams, which adds some functionality that really makes a lot of sense. Without this mod, you can barely see a few tiles in front of you, and in contrast, when the mod is running, you get a decent stretch of road ahead of you that's lit up, thus giving you a bit more time to react should a stray deer or a mob of angry undead wander out onto the road ahead of you. Again, something I think that makes a lot of sense and definitely could be included as a vanilla feature in the future, perhaps with additional drain on the battery of the car or quicker reduction of the light bulb's condition as a trade-off. But until then, this mod will be happy to fill that gap. Alright, so the next mod in today's video is a brand new addition to the very popular collection of Meister mods. This is Picking Meister, which adds some fantastic quality of life options when interacting with several items in your inventory or in other containers. For example, let's say you have a first aid kit in your inventory holding several medical supplies, but you don't want to go through the process of removing it from your inventory, taking items from it, then placing it back in your inventory. With the Picking Meister mod, you can simply right-click the container, scroll to Grab Contents, and choose which items you wish to remove from the container in question. Nice and simple, all within one right-click menu. There's some simple options for immediately taking cigarettes from a pack and smoking them in one click, or opening and drinking items that you pick up in one click also. My favorite feature from this mod though is that you can right-click any weapon and select the option Retrieve All Ammo. This will automatically empty the magazine of rounds, then clear the chamber for that one extra bullet too. An awesome quality of life option from an established modder that continues to add functionality I didn't even know I needed, but somehow can't live without either. Now, by far one of the biggest complaints I get about Project Zomboid in almost all of my videos is that the lack of firearms found in standard housing isn't accurate to the area. In short, there should be more guns in Kentucky. If you're of a similar sentiment, you'll be glad to know that the mod Smokes and Guns exists. As the name itself may suggest, you'll find a whole lot more in the way of tobacco products and firearms with this mod in play. Now, this mod may not be for everybody, but it does provide something for those that have a particular issue that want to see it resolved. The nice thing about this mod is that there's a couple of different versions, so if you wanted to increase the firearms without the increase of cigarettes, or vice versa, you can choose to do so when selecting your mods. Time to learn how to use that new aiming system, because there will be a lot more guns in your upcoming playthroughs with this mod in play. So, with our last mod increasing the spawn rates of firearms in the game, how about we take a look at giving them a bit of a visual upgrade with our next one. Allow me to introduce Firearms Models Redux. Now, this mod does a handful of things, but the biggest of the lot is a redesign to all of the existing vanilla weapons. It changes their models entirely and provides a new, fresh look to every single one. And honestly, the difference in quality is pretty noticeable. Several attachments for these firearms have also been upgraded or changed in appearance. some appearing on the weapon that didn't previously, and there's even some new sounds for the racking of the MSR-788, the MSR-700, the M16 assault rifle, and the M14 rifle. Have a quick listen for yourself to some of these. Before we move on, it's important for me to note that this mod doesn't change any statistics when it comes to weapons, so it doesn't mess with the balancing in any way, nor does it add new equipment or weapons. This is intended for those looking for a vanilla experience with some upgraded aesthetics and sounds. Okay, I've got one more mod that's sort of Firearms adjacent, before we move on to other stuff entirely. This is the mod Vanilla Firearms Magazine Expansion, and as the name suggests, it essentially brings in some varied types of magazines for many of the guns that are present in vanilla, as well as a couple of modded ones too. For handguns, the M9 gains a couple of new extended magazines. The M1911 gets one as well, and the Desert Eagle gets an 8-round lightweight magazine. As for the rifles, the M14 now gains a 30-round extended magazine, and the M16 gains 4 new magazine types, including a 100-round quad stack magazine. Now, while this is a really nice mod to see, the unfortunate downside of this one is that the modder is not a 3D modeler, and as such you won't see any visual differences to the magazines when they are used. So I suppose if you're a 3D modeler and you're watching this, maybe give this mod a look and see if you might be able to help put some of the finishing touches on it. Despite this shortcoming, the mod brings in a nice bit of variety for the vanilla weapons already in the game. Alright, so moving away from Firearms entirely now, I've got a mod for you that I think will make a lot of people choosing to base out of more remote locations very, very happy. One of the largest problems for a lot of the otherwise viable safe houses in Project Zomboid is that there's no road connections to them, meaning that often trees will begin to grow on the dirt tracks over time, and accessing the safe house will take much longer thanks to the ground surface slowing your vehicle. This is where the mod Road Builder comes in, transforming an otherwise relatively normal truck into a surface laying vehicle, capable of creating roads with the proper supplies. You'll need sacks of gravel loaded into the truck bed to get this to work, and from there you're good to go. Just use the vehicle menu or press G to start dumping gravel. Now this mod is in a beta stage currently, and just like the last mod in today's video, the creator is looking for a 3D modeler that might be willing to help make an actual dump truck vehicle. Otherwise, the modder's plan for this one is to use Filibuster Rhymes' used cars once it updates for build 42. Until then though, we've got a perfectly functional way of making those pesky dirt roads that little bit more manageable. Now, one of the cornerstones of Project Zomboid is the management of moodles and catering to your character's many needs. In one of the most recent updates for the game, unhappiness now slows down your actions, anywhere up to doubling the time it takes to complete a simple task. With that in mind, I'd like to introduce the mod Sleep on It. This is another one of those mods that really makes a lot of sense and could be considered as a vanilla feature in the future. Rather simply, it allows you to reduce unhappiness and boredom levels every time you go to sleep. Now, I don't know about you, but I certainly feel a lot better after a good night's sleep, and this mod aims to offer a similar thing in Project Zomboid. Nice and straightforward, but very beneficial for players by making management of moodles a little bit less tedious. Okay, so for the next mod, we're taking a more detailed look at the boredom moodle specifically. In the vanilla version of the game, boredom builds when you are indoors, and it can be incredibly frustrating to manage if you're looking to get things done around your safe house for a while. It's fair to say that in a survival situation like Project Zomboid, it can be a bit weird seeing your characters suffering from boredom. So with the mod Boredom Tweaks, you can expect some slightly more realistic changes to this system. For example, any timed action that your character now completes will reduce boredom buildup. This can include things like preparing food, for example, or performing a workout. If you're in a vehicle, you'll gain boredom as long as you are stationary, but as soon as you begin driving with this mod, your character will also lose boredom. Being outside will reduce boredom significantly, and if your character is panicked, the boredom moodle will be removed entirely from the equation. After all, you couldn't really be accused of being bored while there's a horde of zombies hot on your heels that would love nothing more but to sink their teeth into you. For those that are still enjoying build 41, especially in multiplayer, you'll be pleased to know that as long as you are within 5 squares of another player, you will see boredom reduced as well. While we're on the topic of moodles, veteran players will know just how frustrating the panic moodle can be when you're in combat. It reduces some stats relating to combat such as critical hit damage, weapon damage, the same reduction to damage when using firearms, and worst of all, a narrowed view cone. So with all these things in mind, many players will simply choose to spawn as a veteran and thus be desensitized to any form of panic. Now, if you don't want to spend those trait points, you may be interested in the mod Become Desensitized or the mod Become Brave, both of which are now updated for build 42. The idea with these mods is that the more zombies you kill and the longer you survive in the apocalypse, the more used to your surroundings you'd become. By default, you have to kill about 500 zombies to have a chance of becoming desensitized, with 2,000 kills guaranteeing that status. Essentially, if you'd like the opportunity for your character to progress naturally, as they probably would the longer they survived in this kind of situation, then one of these mods, if not both, might be up your alley. Now, for the foreseeable future, those that want to play Project Zomboid on build 42 will have to play single player. Multiplayer will come along eventually, but we're not sure right now how long that will take. But what if I told you that one modder has created a way to run your own safe house with a group of AI that you control and switch between? Essentially, multiple playable characters in a single playthrough. This is the mod Party System, and it allows you to do just that. Manage a group of survivors through the radial menu, play as different characters up to a maximum of 8, and see what it's like to run a safe house of NPCs. Right now, the mod is incredibly basic, so the AI isn't going to be doing much more than keeping their needs topped up while you're away, but it does give you a look into something which could certainly be developed a lot more in the months and years to come. Now, unfortunately, we can't actually see the other characters in real time when they aren't being controlled. They keep themselves fed behind the scenes, as it were. But the big questions are, for me, what other functionality could modders bring to the table for a mod like this, and could we make the AI survivors visible while we're still on build 42? We'll have to wait and see to know the answers to those questions, but until then, we've got this incredibly innovative mod to mess around with. I'd love to see other modders pick this one up and adapt it, maybe to bring further functions to the survivors when we aren't controlling them. So yeah, modders, if you're watching this, can we make that happen? Earlier in today's video, we took a look at a handful of firearms mods, but one thing Project Zomboid has always been missing, and that has been highly requested by its community, is more primitive ranged weapons such as bows, throwing spears, and, addressed by this mod, crossbows. This mod is called Palontra's Crossbows, and it doesn't just bring one singular design, but 4 different types of crossbows for you to try. All of the recipes to craft these items can be found in houses, libraries, or bookstores, and there are 4 different types of ammunition you can craft for these weapons too. You'll need to put a couple of the new crafting skills to use if you want to make these for yourself, and it's possible for the bowstring to snap when the condition of the weapon is low. Whether it's a crude crossbow you've made for yourself, a compact hand crossbow as a trusty sidearm, or a compound crossbow that serves as your pride and joy, it's really nice to see this kind of weapon brought to build 42 and give us yet another look at something that could potentially become a vanilla feature later down the line. The one thing I will say that I think does require some work for this mod is the audio effects used. Some of them are very basic and, to be honest, just not really up to standard with the rest of the game. If you can look past those sounds though, it's a very fun mod to try. Now get out there and hunt something down for dinner the old-fashioned way. That is, if you can chase it down, of course. One of the largest changes to build 42 was the implementation of a new crafting system. Now, while the new system certainly has its uses, I believe it's also fair to say that there may be some improvements needed in order to make it easier to use. With that in mind, the next mod for today's video is Crafting XP Display, and while relatively simple, it is incredibly useful. With this mod in play, you'll now have an actual visual representation of how much experience each craft is worth, allowing you to easily identify which recipes are worth crafting and which you may only want to craft should it be necessary. This is such a simple implementation, and one that I think could help make the crafting system less overwhelming for players new and old, which I think is one of the main issues with the crafting system currently. Now, that was a mod for the crafting system. How about we take a look at something for the building system next? One of the most prominent difficulties with building is that so many of the materials needed can weigh an incredible amount, and thus it can take forever to finish some projects, all because you're ferrying supplies back and forth so often. The mod Material Weight Reducer solves this problem by decreasing the weight of many tools, building materials, keys, and some other items that wouldn't exactly be things you'd take out on a scavenging run, but would certainly factor into a lot of safe house construction projects. Now, I know this might not be for everyone, and some people will simply prefer to do things the old-fashioned way, and that is absolutely fine. But for those looking to have an easier time crafting the ultimate post-apocalypse settlement, this could be one worth considering. In one of my most recent mod videos, I took a look at the Ladders mod, which, as the name suggests, makes ladders craftable and functional within the game, something that isn't possible in the vanilla version. Today, I'm going to bring you a mod that takes things one step further. This is Collapsible Ladder, a mod that uses the framework of the initial Ladders mod to create an incredibly useful item that simply attaches to your character's belt. From here, you'll be able to deploy it at a moment's notice in order to access rooftops, whether that's for a vantage point to see over an area, gain access to a building through a more creative avenue, or just take a rest somewhere you know zombies won't be able to reach you. Whatever you'll use it for, there's no denying that this item can quickly become a tool that every survivor can use to their advantage. Oh, and while we're on the topic of useful items that can be attached to your belt, I'm about to make two-handed weapon enjoyers very happy indeed. This is the simple flashlight on belt mod, and it does exactly what it says on the tin. No longer will you need to carry your flashlight in your hand, forcing you to carry a one-handed weapon into combat. You can now attach it to your character's belt and keep both of your hands firmly on your baseball bat, shotgun, or spear. Now we're taking a look at another popular mod brought from Build 41 next, one that's been updated and is now ready to go on the most recent version of the unstable branch. This is Simple Status Fixed, which changes the standard Moodle system of Project Zomboid and instead opts to display every single status you choose in a handy bar chart style format. Now, the obvious upside of an interface element like this one is that you can see more specific number values rather than simply having a ballpark idea of where your character is currently at. Yes, you might be stressed, but exactly how stressed is your character? Perhaps useful of all though, you can see whether your character needs to consume more or less calories to achieve the weight goal you have in mind. The user interface for this mod is fully customizable too, meaning that you can add or remove elements, change how transparent the box is, and much more, giving you full control over exactly what you see and how you want to see it. Now, it's important for me to note that the Build 42 version is not uploaded by the original mod's creator, but since there hasn't been an update for the original mod since May of 2023, an updated version is looking unlikely. All the same, you may have to find yourself reinstalling this one in future if the original modder returns, so keep that in mind. Now, speaking of mods that have been revived for Build 42, do any of you remember the mod Better Lockpicking? If the answer is yes, then you'll be pleased to know that this has not only been updated for Build 42, but it's been given some new features too. This was a very recent upload, only being posted on March 8th, but it's already achieved a 5-star rating and over 10,000 subscribers. The new version is called the Best Lockpicking, bringing back all of the features from the old mod, such as prying open doors with crowbars, cracking into cars with a screwdriver, or hotwiring a vehicle with engaging minigames. New to this version though, you'll find a new lockpicking minigame that will remind you of all the lockpicking games of old. Now, I want to say the first to really gain popularity was the Elder Scrolls game Oblivion, but that's really just based on my own experience. Anyway, you'll need to be careful when trying to break into a building, because there is a chance of breaking the lockpick you're using, or just breaking the lock altogether if you make the wrong move. A mod like this shows that there's still lots of room for interesting new mechanics in Project Zomboid, even when bringing back some of the popular mods of old. Now, I get a lot of comments about Project Zomboid, and over the years, one that I've seen crop up quite often is that some players feel the inventory UI could be improved. If you agree with that sentiment, the mod Clean UI could be one to look into. Released just this month, this mod aims to make the user interface behind the management of items a lot simpler to use, while offering added customization and functionality. While using this mod, you will now be able to filter items in your inventory. So if you're looking for the bandages you stashed away earlier in your playthrough, you can filter by medical supplies and find them with relative ease. You can also hide equipped items on your character if you'd like to, making viewing your inventory that little bit easier until you want to actually swap clothing items. There's even a take all function, which allows you to grab all of the items within a container that you're currently viewing. Quality of life additions aren't the only thing this mod offers though. You can also customize your inventory panel entirely. You can change the color of item names and categories, change the opacity of the inventory box, and the way that items are transferred to them. My personal favorite feature from this mod though is that you can shift around the containers in the inventory panel to be in whatever order you choose them to be.
No way!
Overall, just a fantastic mod that seems to be getting regular updates at the moment, so it's definitely worth trying for yourself while it's popular. Okay, a brand new feature for you in this next mod, aptly named Useful Barrels. Where previously barrels were simply a decorative item in the world around you, they can now be cracked open using a pipe wrench and used to store any liquid you want. You can use them to collect water, or run some trips to the local gas station and fill them with fuel for use in your vehicles. For balancing reasons, the barrels initially spawn entirely empty, so you can't expect to find any hidden treasures by looting these barrels in the wild, but they can certainly be put to use back at your safe house. And that brings us nicely to the final mod for today's video, and I have definitely saved one of the best till last with this one. This is the Farming Expansion B42 mod, and as the name suggests, it brings a couple of new plants to the game as well as additional craft recipes related to them. With this mod in use, you'll now be able to plant apple trees or start your own vineyard of grapes, both of which can be harvested and then left to grow fruits again in the future, unlike the other crops in the game. While these new plants don't produce or grow during the winter, they do survive it, meaning that they will continue their growth cycle once spring comes around again. The mod has also added recipes for creating beer or wine through the use of a fermentation process, and the modder plans to bring in future features like crafting recipes for alcoholic beverages and additional types of fruit trees. With this mod only being released on March 14th, it has a lot of room to grow, but is already proving popular with the avid farmers in the community. So that's it for all the mods I could find for you this month, and as such that's it from me in this video. But just a quick reminder that if you want to give these mods a try for yourself, there is a handy link down in the description to a single mod collection with all of the mods in this video. If there's any mods I've missed that you think I need to check out for myself for future videos, let me know down in the comments section. Special thank you as always to my Patreon subscribers for supporting the channel for as little as £3 a month, joining our whitelisted Project Zomboid multiplayer server with themed wipes and events every single month, and you can find a link down in the description if you want to join them. Thanks folks, and I will see you all in the next one.